Welcome back to Sportsbeat. Today is August 5th, and this is episode 24 that we are recording in the My Little Falls podcast studio. And as always, I am joined by our producer, Dave Warner. What's going on?
Not much. How you doing?
We didn't have a tagline. We're going to have to think of it for next week.
A tagline?
Yeah, well, last week you were the man who most likely tell people to get off his lawn.
And this week on the man who would most likely be able to tell people they should be impeached.
Ooh, there it is.
I told you I could come up with
There
something.
There we go. On the fly. Dave Warner, ladies and gentlemen. There it is.
There it is.
So starting to wrap up our summer series of getting to know the Mohawk Valley Diamond Dawgs, and we're going to take a little twist this week. Today we are going to talk to Vani Patel, who served as staff for the summer while completing an internship. She attended Herkimer College for 2 years and played softball as well. Now she's at Manhattan College studying management and also continues to play softball. How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Not too bad. So do us a favor. Tell us a little bit about yourself for people who may not know who you are.
So my name's Vani Patel. Like he said, I did go to Herkimer College, so I am a Mohawk Valley girl. I am not from the area, but my heart is always going to be there. I've always loved playing softball, and I was so grateful that Coach Inadio found me and was able to get me out to Herkimer, and even more grateful that he was able to get in touch with Travis Heiser with the Diamond Dawgs and help me get this internship and everything set up for the summer.
Nice. And so where are you originally from? So you went to college here, but where are you from originally?
Well, I'm from a lot of places. It's kind of funny.
She doesn't want to say.
Here we go.
I was born in Chicago, Illinois, but when I was young, I moved to Southern California, which is where I grew up. After I graduated high school, my parents decided to move to Denver, Colorado, which is where they live now. And I live in New York City at Manhattan College. So I've kind of been all over the country, all over the place. But I guess now when people ask, I just say I live in Colorado.
There you go. So you got the East Coast, West Coast kind of thing all checked off.
Yeah.
So you're good on that. So do me a favor, talk about your time up on the hills. So I also went to Herkimer. I graduated there in 2000. I think it was 2013. And you were up there a lot later and more recent than I was. So talk about your time up there. I know you had said in pre-show that you were there for COVID year and got robbed for that. So just talk about your whole time up there.
So it's funny that you said you graduated in 2013. That was the year Herkimer softball got its first national championship.
That is true.
Yeah,
I thought she was going to say that was the year you were born.
No, we're not going to do that.
Bonnie was going to do that to you and say,
boy,
this boy is really old.
I actually was looking to go to a couple different schools. I had some different options, and Coach Inadio happened to be at the fields I was playing at in Southern California, watching another girl that he was recruiting, and a coach that I was really close to, really highly respected, was unable to go to that school. Unfortunately, she actually introduced Coach Inadio to my family and I. He watched me play a couple games. He was really interested, and eventually just told me all about the school, the program. And for me personally, I'm a huge program person. When I join a team, it's not just a team for a season, whatever. To me, it's the 4 years, leaving the program better than you found it, leaving a legacy of something that you're proud to be leaving. And that's exactly how I feel about Herkimer softball. Coach Inadio has done such a great job building up that program and not even, helping me become a good softball player to allow me to play from the Division III junior college level up to where I'm at now at the NCAA Division I level. But not just the softball skills, but even just as a person while being up on the hill, I feel like Coach Inadio and that softball program really helped me grow into a mature adult, just even a better person. He talks a lot about person greater than player, and that's something that I hold really dear to my heart. I definitely grew a lot from the girl that I was in high school growing up in Southern California. I loved every second of it. And it eventually translated over onto the field where I was fortunate enough to be named a first team All-American as a freshman. And still to this day, seeing my name on the wall just baffles me. But it didn't come without hard work, and you could ask any Herkimer softball player that it's hours. It's a lot of work and time that we put in. simply because we love the sport, we love our team, and even bigger, we love the program. So going from that and then switching over to Manhattan College is a very different level, different environment also. The city is obviously very different than the Mohawk Valley, but
just a little bit.
Yeah. And so actually after the end of my freshman year in our national championship game, I ended up tearing my ACL and was unable to play in our second game, which we unfortunately lost. So that was, with COVID happening this last year, that was really my redemption year. And I was really looking forward to it. And, for 2020, I was really thinking our team that we had was a championship team. I had gotten my surgery, I had gotten cleared, I was ready to go. And then, everything kind of just happened so quickly and things got canceled and shut down. And luckily for me, because I had such a great freshman season, I had options and offers to go other places. So I wasn't overly stressed about it. But it was kind of like a knife in the heart, not being able to finish it out the way I had hoped. And I guess I'll always find myself back in the Mohawk Valley just because a little bit of my heart's always going to be there.
Yeah, it's always in at the very least, it's a great place to come and visit, spend a summer as you've just done. And there's always something for everybody here, which is something that we've tried to cover in the lifestyle section of our podcast, if you will, because we talked about it and you saw it this year on the Dogs with everybody says, oh well, it's only the Mohawk Valley, it's only Little Falls, it's only Herkimer, it's only Mohawk, whatever else, it's only Herkimer County. But you had players from the Dogs this year that ended up being drafted and recruited into Major League Baseball. And,
yep.
We covered an Olympic story that somebody with the Olympics had a really strong tie to Syracuse University. And, we're small, but we definitely can do some mighty things. And I think you've touched on that as a product of that.
Oh yeah, definitely. And, I know a lot of people, when I first had committed to go to Herkimer, a lot of my friends were kind of like, why are you moving across the country to go play for a junior college? And, I could have really let them get in my head and I could have said, you know what, you're right. Like, I don't want to go to a junior college. I don't want to go across the country, but I felt like the program and the school and everything was going to be the best thing for me. And I've never regretted it for 1 second. Going to Herkimer and finding Coach Nadio and Herkimer softball was such a blessing in my life. And it still continues to be a blessing every day. Yeah,
PJ's awesome. And, I had a sub in high school who came in one time and everybody was kind of, oh, you're only going to Herkimer. It's grade 13 because, it's our local community college backyard. And she said something I thought that was true, and it still rings true today because, a lot of people get accepted into Herkimer, but not everybody makes it out. And, it is a quality school. They have quality athletics. They have quality education. And it's not the worst place in the world by far to land to do 2 years and have some fun, play some softball, play some any sport that you play or get a degree. So, and so you play softball and you did your time in Herkimer. Obviously, it didn't go as even close to expected. And now, so this year coming up will be your first year, or did you play last year? What did that look like with COVID there?
So actually last year we did play. Last year was my junior season.
Okay.
And we ended up winning the MAC conference and making it to the NCAA tournament. And for Manhattan softball, our team was not, one of the highly ranked in the preseason polls. I think we were ranked 6th out of 11 in our conference. But when it came down to it, we took our protocols really seriously. My team did not get shut down once. I think we were actually the only softball team in the conference that did not get shut down once for COVID. We just stayed within ourselves. We were really strict with ourselves, not going out. And it's very tempting where we are. The one train is right next to our school. It's very easy and accessible to get into New York City. And my teammates and I and our coaches, and we just did an amazing job staying safe, staying healthy, limiting our contact. And that didn't go without sacrifice. A lot of our girls, weren't able to go visit and go home on the weekends like they wanted to. And a lot of us missed out on a lot of things. But, when it came down to it, we all that work and all that extra effort and sacrifices we made all paid off because we did end up winning the conference championship and making it down to the NCAA regional tournament. And we actually got selected. We ended up in Fayetteville, Arkansas. And just that whole experience was so amazing. And it just, I think the difference in coming in this year and now we're going to have a little bit even more freedom. We did lose a lot of seniors this last year, but now I'm going to be a senior this year. And we have some great freshmen coming in. Actually, one of the freshman pitchers we have coming in was the New Jersey Gatorade Player of the Year.
Nice.
So I'm really looking forward to this season. I think we're going to have a great season. Our head coach last year actually just retired. And so our assistant coach is taken over, and, just talking to her, she's so excited and she's getting me excited. And I'm really just looking forward to move in on the 26th and get back to it.
There you go. So you're down there and all around doing everything you're doing for your education, playing softball. How did you end up with the Dogs for their summer campaign in the position that you did? Was it a natural kind of, hey, I'm going to go back to, my second home, or was there a little bit more to it than that to get you back up here in the Valley for the summer?
So it's actually pretty funny because I was just looking at kind of any type of internship that could get me into the sports management industry. I just had finished my junior year. That's a huge year for building your resumes and stuff. And I was having some trouble, with COVID. A lot of companies weren't really sure what they were going to be doing. And another great thing about Herkimer softball is the connections I made. And I reached out to Coach Nadio and I said, hey, I've been having some trouble getting these internships. Do you have any contacts or local people that are maybe looking for an intern or could use an extra set of hands in the sports management industry? And he and Travis Heiser actually played baseball together back in the day. So he knows Travis. They're good friends. And he reached out to him for me, talked to him and asked him what he was kind of looking for. And he said he would be more than happy to have me. And so I was so fortunate that, Travis basically gave me a phone call. We talked about his expectations and what I was looking for. And, they matched. So it was a great fit for me and I enjoyed every second of it. Obviously, I play softball, so I have a fondness for baseball as well. And
right.
I even had some of my really good guy friends playing on the team. And it was just such a fun, exciting summer that it felt like it didn't even feel like I was working, and I was, but I enjoyed it so much. And I just felt like, this is a dream summer. This could be a dream job for me, working with sports teams and in the industry. And, I'm hoping now, and even, Travis has even said, if you ever want to come back, you're more than welcome to. And I know I'll be back up there. I'm hoping at least to a Diamond Dawgs game in a future summer, but
there you go.
It's definitely, and even being able to have something like that on my resume to build up and now go into maybe my ultimate goal is to hopefully, fingers crossed, be a general manager of either a Major League Baseball team or a NFL team. And
solid. Love it.
Yeah. And so this past experience really gave me a really inside look of the things that, I was basically Travis's right-hand woman and helped him with everything. And so I got to see a lot of the background stuff that goes on to make every single game happen. There's so much that goes into every single game. And even some of the boys didn't even realize how much work went into it. They just think we show up, we play baseball, we leave, but they finally started seeing all the extra things that me and the other interns had to do. And they realized, they're like, wow, this is a lot of work. You guys put a lot of work into making this happen. Thank you. And I'm like, this is for you guys. I'm more than happy to do it. And just go out and win some ball games.
Right. While you were here, what were some of the challenges that you had other than Mother Nature not cooperating in the damnedest, or at least, and what were some of the things that you learned over the summer? Obviously, you kind of touched on them with the, seeing behind the curtain of the business side of things and whatever else happens is a front office. But what were some challenges and what some things did you learn that you think you'll take with you as you move forward in your education and your career after that?
I definitely think one of the big things was being able to think on my toes. There was a lot of times we had last minute cancellations, last minute fill-ins, a lot of stuff that was happening last minute. Quick decisions had to be made, thinking on my toes. And, I felt like that was something I was really successful at this year, being able to make split decisions. We try to do games to keep the fans involved during in between innings and stuff. And, sometimes we have to add a game or take out a game or switch something else. We're going to do this instead of this. And it's making that decision, communicating it to everybody, making sure everyone's on the same page, and doing it in like 5 to 10 minutes. So it did get pretty hectic at times, but it's something that I feel I do really well in those roles, is kind of controlling the chaos in a sense, but also just, realizing, like having to have the drinks for the beer tent delivered, and getting the orders in and the invoices in and the payments and everything that else that goes on, like on a day-to-day basis, that nobody really thinks about. Hey, we got to order all these food and drinks for the concession stand, and who's going to do that? How much do we need? What's our budget? And so many extra questions that have to be asked that a lot of people forget about. And, they just show up and they're like, yeah, can I get a hot dog? And there's a lot more that goes into giving somebody that one hot dog than I think people realize.
And I can attest to some of that, because my hallway has all of your merchandise in it right now that I have to tag, because we're setting up a Diamond Dawgs kind of section of our store, and I'm looking at all of it going, oh my God. So and Travis was just like, here's all the boxes, here, you deal with it. Yeah.
And now we're talking to the person that probably ordered it and made sure that it was invoiced, and
Yep,
see, full circle.
So she'll know what I'm dealing with. Yeah.
Right. And so what other things do you think you learned that you wouldn't have known? Because I think you touch on something that's interesting, and I mean, not really so much for a sports podcast, but in terms of like sports management, people think, oh, I'm going to go out and I'm going to make sure first, second, and third base are there. Home plate is in where it needs to be. The pitcher's mound is clear. And 90% of the things you just talked about have nothing to do with the actual sport itself. And I think that's one of the misconceptions. People are like, oh, I want to go into sports management so I can be on a team in the front office. Okay, well, what business side do you have? What, PR side do you have? What was there anything else that you saw that was maybe outside the business but not connected directly to, baseball itself?
There's a lot of things. And I think that it was even more, I guess one of the biggest things for me was sharing all of that with the guys. Obviously you and I had been in contact about getting some of the guys interviewed and just in touch. And a lot of the guys didn't realize. They're like, oh, like, I didn't realize this was something I'd have to be doing. And I'm like, well, like, you see Major League Baseball players, they have press conferences all the time. Like, that's something you got to be prepared to do. And I just, it really, I think to me, I barely even, it was very rare if I was able to actually sit down and watch the game, and most of the time I was running from here to there, bringing this person that, like I said, a lot of it is kind of last minute running around type of things. But for the business side of it, I think definitely, thinking about, ticket sales and income and, how do we make a profit? We talk about, we didn't give out a lot of free tickets this year. And we kind of saw that affect our like numbers of fans in our stands. So we were like, we want people in their stands. We want to bring them in. So what I would start doing, people who stay for the whole game around the 7th inning, 8th inning, I was going around to all the people left in the stands and just passing out free tickets to a game the next week or, the next couple of days or next home game. And people started showing up more. And then we ended up seeing, more sales of concessions, more sales at the beer stand. And, you're not going to make money if there's no people there. Right. So,
right.
We kind of think, do we sacrifice ticket sales versus this other stuff? And, I think it ended up working out for us in the end because, even if people don't, buy anything at the concessions or at the beer tent, they have a good time and they enjoy their time at the games. And that's our ultimate goal, is that people's experience at Veterans Memorial Park is memorable. They want to come back next summer. They love the Diamond Dawgs. They're trying to build that fan base. And I think this year we really saw that. I saw a lot of the same people, coming to all of our games and supporting the Diamond Dawgs. And even when I saw someone new, I would try to get them to come back for more games, and I was successful with it. But I think a big part of it also is building those relationships with people. Yep. I would go into the stands, talk to fans while I'm selling 50-50 tickets and, just talk to them, how they're liking the game. Where are you from? Am I going to see you next week? Stuff like that. Making them feel special is really, I think fan engagement was a big thing for me. I didn't realize, I guess, how involved with it I would be. But I loved doing it. I loved building relationships with even just the local families, little leagues, sponsors, things like that. Travis kind of had me dip my toes into a little bit of everything, and I enjoyed the entire experience.
Nice.
I think we need her back next year.
I was going to say,
I'm going to make Travis listen to this.
Yeah. And one of the things that we're hoping to do in this kind of summer series kind of happened is more of a whim because, around here in the Valley, there's not much going on in terms of sports. And we started a sports podcast here doing this in like March of last year, February of last year. So it got to the summer point and we're like, oh God, what are we going to do? But in moving forward next year, definitely would be great if you did come back or relay your information to whoever's next because we want to build on that. But yeah, there's definitely more to it. And, the fans show up and they figure, okay, I want a hot dog. The hot dog's there. They don't think about everything that goes in the behind the scenes to make it, there. You want the beer and the popcorn, what it really takes to make a sports team go. It's not just putting players on the field. It's everything that happens behind. And both of those in a lot of cases are equal. And I think you highlighted that pretty well.
And she also, now we know why Travis pulls his hair out.
Right.
Just listening to what she said.
Yeah, it gives me stress listening to what she's saying. So
I was too. No wonder he's a basket case.
Anything else that we didn't cover that you wanna talk about or touch on?
I don't think so. I did want to say thank you so much. The boys, it was definitely a good experience for them. The few of them that were able to get on the show. I think that was a really cool experience for them to just feel kind of special. I tried to really pick players that were kind of, if certain players were hot at a certain time, had a great game. I know I had, I think Joey, who had just thrown a no-hitter, which was huge for us.
You had him on just
it was
2 days before he threw it.
Yeah.
And it was like, I was just on the show. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. But I mean, just for them to, and that's how it is, you do really well, or maybe you have a rough game and then reporters want to know why. Reporters want to ask you those questions at those press conferences and you have to be ready to go. So I think, even for me, just helping the guys get closer to their dreams, obviously, there is no women baseball players in the major league, but, for me, it's a really great opportunity now that I'm seeing women break that glass ceiling and those barriers and get more involved in the sports world. So it gives, a young woman like me some hope that I can follow my dreams and stay around sports that I love and, keep being happy with what I'm doing.
Well, hopefully if you need an internship next year, you don't have to go too far and your first and only call will be directly to Travis. And then we can make sure we expand on this. So, cause I know we've talked about it here, so it would be great to have you, but either way, we appreciate all that you've done. I appreciate the fact that you were able to get me players because I had originally got a hold of Travis through email, and then Dave was like, yeah, he's probably not going to check his email. They're in season now. You should probably just text him. So I texted him like the morning before of a show, and then he's like, yeah, just ask you. So that was pretty much it for the rest of the summer, was coming to you to get a player on to do our summer series. So we definitely appreciate that and the relationship that we were able to foster and everything like that. And we were happy to at least have you on to talk about your experience too, because, there's a lot more that goes into sports than just what you see on a field.
Oh yeah, definitely. And, definitely. Thank you so much. Yeah. I loved being on and I'm more than happy to help whenever I can. And, Travis said, he's like, you even if you don't come back, you can still, have the Instagram, post if you see stuff, so I'm always going to be involved with the Diamond Dawgs here and there. Maybe not as much as I would like to be, but I'll always be around.
Well, Vani, thank you very much. Good luck in school this year and with your softball team, hopefully getting back to normal and entirely with a full season and another MAC championship to get into the NCAA tournament.
Oh yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Have a good one.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Nice.
Yeah.
See, that's the things that you don't really think about sometimes is the behind the scenes thing. Like you walk in, okay, here's my ticket. Well, what did it take to get that ticket in your hand from the time it leaves them as an idea to the printer to out there? You go to the concession stand, hot dog and a drink. What's it take to get there?
I know. I didn't even, thinking about it, I didn't even realize I saw her there, but I didn't realize the times that I didn't see her that she was working her butt off.
Right.
It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah. Well, that was cool. And like I said, she had been great with getting us on the players. And the reason that you guys were all able to hear some of the players over the summer, I think the 3 or 4 of them that we were able to get was because she was the one that put them in contact and able to get them here. So we appreciate that. So we're going to jump into a commercial break here right quick, and we're going to come back for some interesting takes in the press box this week. So we'll be right back.
Visit My Little Falls and stay connected with the latest news, information, and events in the city and the area. Our mission is to generate interest in the community and connect residents in a more meaningful way by facilitating deeper conversations about how these stories will shape the future of the Mohawk Valley. Join thousands of weekly visitors who stay up to date with feature stories, videos, our event calendar, and print publication, the Mohawk Valley Express. It's about timely local news with the community, keeping citizens informed about important issues, telling about the people who live and work here, and giving locally owned businesses the opportunity to reach a very targeted audience. Locals and tourists alike. It's a whole new form of media-rich content developed specifically for today's local lifestyle and listeners. You can download our iOS app in the iTunes Store. Listen to our country music streaming radio station, or sign up for a weekly newsletter. Stop by today at MohawkFalls.com. You'll be glad you did.
And we're back for the press box. So we got a couple interesting takes, and one of these is going to hit close to home because we're going to talk about your Texas Longhorns a little bit. So be prepared.
All right, I'll be ready.
It's not going to be as good as the TikTok though, but that's okay. So continuing and finishing up with the Mohawk Valley Diamond Dawgs, they played last week in Auburn for what would be their final game of the season. It was a must-win situation for a home series, and the Dogs came up short. Then the following night, Mother Nature put the final nail in the coffin for what was supposed to be the final game of the season because, of course, the rain really had to screw us over one more time. So the Dogs did not make postseason play. They were falling short. I think it was final. They were a game and a half out of the wild card.
Yeah.
And so the postseason.
I was depressed.
Yeah.
I watched that game in Auburn. They were streaming it from down there.
Yep. I caught the end of it because I had a couple other things. I got there for right after we left here because they were there, and I made a stop on the way home, and I got there, and it was the bottom end of the game, and it was over. Yeah. They just and it looked like they started to rally a little bit towards the end, but it was too little, too late. They couldn't get enough hot bats out there, and what a unfortunate way to end. And then especially for the home crowd that was all the fans, the sponsors, the families, and everything. They were really trying to do that final game, but Mother Nature.
I know that was a horrible season. Weather-wise, I mean, really horrible. The worst I can remember.
And I was telling a couple friends, we didn't really have a summer this year. We had an English fall. I mean, realistically, because it rained, and then on the nice days you're working. So what the hell?
No, it was bad.
Yeah, and good news is Travis did put out a post. I assume it was Travis and the team. They put out a press release that was on their Facebook talking about they thanked everybody and sponsors, and we were very fortunate with the relationship that we were able to build, mostly because of, Dave, your involvement and everything and the connections that you have to Travis. But next year we're definitely going to do a little bit more now that we have some kind of blueprint to work off of, where we'll get some more events out there and see what we can do. Got a lot of time to practice and, figure out what we can do, and we got a year to plan it out. It's not just like, the summer's going to be the summer. And,
even off season, we could get Lou on.
Yeah.
He is a sports nut. So
yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
Hey, and Diamond Dawgs are right next door, and there is no off season. It's just looking
Travis
forward.
He's already started.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts. And everybody's like, oh, well, Nick Saban just won the national championship. What's he going to do? He's going to recruit on Sunday after he celebrates on a Saturday.
Absolutely.
So jumping over to Major League Baseball in the AL East. Stop the presses, folks. Evil Boston is no longer in first place this week. The slide has started. The Rays are now in first place. Boston sits in second place with 1 game back. Take that, Zach. If you're listening, take that. We're very happy to see Boston out of first place. Yankees continue to hold third place and picked up some ground. They are now sitting 6 games back. The Blue Jays are 7 games out, and the Orioles got a little closer to being relevant this week. Last week, they were 27 games out of first place, and now they're only 26 games out of first place. So that's a moral victory for them, I'm sure.
Yes.
We don't need to talk about the mercy rule because it's no longer needed. It's only 26 games. Jesus Christ.
No, I think it should be at 25. Anybody after that, you don't talk about.
Yeah, right. Over in the NL East, the Mets continue to hold their first place spot yet again. The Phillies are out a game and a half. Atlanta's out 2.5. Nationals are back 7.5, and Miami is back 10.5. So that's Mets looking good and crazy. Some of the crazy trades. Chicago traded the whole friggin' team. Like, what the hell are they? They don't know what the hell they're doing. It looks like the Miami Dolphins of old, and then just weird crap.
Do you know what's weird about sports today?
A lot of things, but what?
No loyalty.
True.
I mean, when I was growing up, the guys stayed there for years, and you got used to these names, and they were always there, always part of the Yankees, for instance. And it's like, now you don't know from one minute to the next. No matter the sport, hockey or baseball, football, whatever.
My contract is up. Who's going to pay me more? I'm glad, and
not even before your contract's up.
Yeah, I don't understand that. Like, I still give it up to the Steelers that they tell you, we're not going to negotiate a new contract with you until you're in the final year of your contract.
Yeah, there's
there's no point.
Yeah.
Why am I renegotiating a contract that you're already under contract? And then if you don't, I'm going to sit. Shut up. Go play. Quick NFL as the Buffalo Bills here locally were talking about, and I saw the story just coming in that they want to move down to your little area in Texas. I've got to guess. Listen, one of the podcasts I listen to, I'm a huge Le Batard fan. I love everything they're doing over down in Meadowlark. I don't know if I can say that, but I just did. And I think it's cool. They told ESPN to F off, and they got $50 million from DraftKings to go do it, and that's just awesome. But they have David Sampson, who used to be a exec with the Miami or Tampa Bay, I think he was at. And he was talking about how all these teams that are going for sports rights for stadiums are always going for the taxpayer money. And Terry Pagula's family bought the Bills, and now they need a new stadium. And he's like, well, if Buffalo's not going to, Buffalo and I think New York was mentioned too, aren't going to give us anything, we're just going to leave. Like, really?
Yeah, but it's $1.1 billion. He probably doesn't have it hanging in his pocket, no matter how much he's got.
And I'm sometimes ashamed and sometimes not to admit that I'm a Dallas Cowboys fan, but I give it up to Jerry Jones with the way he did his stadium.
I didn't know that about you.
Really? Yeah, I'm a Dallas.
Are you really?
I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan.
Oh hell, we can do some fanboy.
There we go.
Shit.
There we go.
Oh yeah.
But like 4.4 million or whatever the hell, or billion with the AT&T stadium, it's already paid for because it was mostly private. I'm sure there was some tax money because there's always tax money involved.
Tax money, yeah.
But like, it was paid off in no time, and now he owns the damn place, and they have the country music awards there every year. That's what it should be.
Well, I think the deal would be let's just say that maybe that happens, right?
Right.
If you look at the teams and the things that are down there now, from the Formula Racing to the new soccer team down there, those teams are and those events are massively successful already, and even hockey is down there now.
Yep.
So I asked my son, because he's a massive sports fan of anything. He said, Dad, those soccer games down there are freaking unreal. The fan noise behind the net starts at the beginning and goes the entire game. He said, I don't think I could last that long. They're crazy down there.
Yeah.
And he sent me video after video. But I think that if they even contemplated it for a minute and they were going to go to a city, I think they would be successful there.
I think they would as well.
But
I have to, looking at the realistic, it's got to be the shell across the bow to get Buffalo to give them more than what they're currently offering.
Initially they're using it for leverage.
Yeah.
We're going to leave. I came up with a unique idea that I'm sure you'll jump right on with all the problems the Sabres are having. I just said that both ought to go to Austin.
You tell that one to Scott.
I did. I'm repeating it for your show.
God. How bad did he just like?
Well, it was great.
They're already the Sabres are already a dumpster fire anyway, so it doesn't matter.
Well, but then it might change if they moved. So
yeah,
there was that.
But I hope, and I say this not as a Bills fan. I have family members who are Bills fans. I hope they don't move. I hope it's just the bullshit shell across the bow and everything, because that would Buffalo would cease to exist as relevant as a city.
No, I like the Bills, but moving wouldn't be the best thing. But you know what? Hey.
And you get rid of all. I mean, one of the reasons that the Bills are the Bills now is because of the fan base that they have in Western and upstate and Central New York.
Yeah.
And there are people that drive all over the place to go to all these games. Some of these, you're not going to be able to replicate that fan base. They're not going to go with you. You'd have to start over, and they're one of the major driving forces of the Bills. And for all the fans that are out there, I would hate for them to actually move. But
I will tell you, that soccer team came in, and that stadium is full every game from day one.
Yeah.
So
they've got a model to work with.
Yeah.
Yeah. The NBA offseason started with a huge bang. Day one, the floodgates opened, and the news just never stopped. There's tons of news, and this is just a little bit of it. Kemba Walker's going to the Knicks. I'm a Knicks fan, so that makes me a little bit happy. The Knicks extended Randall's contract, and now he's getting paid $117 million. I'd like 1% of that for mentioning your name. The Lakers picked up Carmelo Anthony on a 1-year free agency contract price. And ESPN Adrian Wojnarowski says that there is plenty more to go, and it's just all over. I know Chris Paul, I think, signed with the Suns. He's going to stay there. A little bit of loyalty there. I still was hoping he would get his trophy. Kid deserves it. I mean, he's worked his ass off, all the stuff with the players and association, and just unfortunate that they lost. But, it's off season. Chips are moving.
Yep.
Jumping over to Formula One, they were in Budapest for the Hungarian Grand Prix this week. Rain started to make everything interesting right out of the gate. There was a huge crash. Oh, my iPad decided to do funny things. So there was a huge crash by Mercedes driver Valtteri Bottas, and many were taken out in that crash. It was absolutely nuts, and it was the first friggin' turn. They launched off the line. They get to pretty much turn one, and 12 cars. It was unreal. The wreck included then points leader and Red Bull driver Max Verstappen. And because of that, he was not able to finish. It was either in the points or enough over Lewis Hamilton. So he is now in second place, and they're in their now summer break. After a red flag to clean up the track, which was an absolute disaster, and some pit drama, tire changes that led to a restart, seeing only Lewis Hamilton on the line. Everybody else took the pit to swap out tires. But that was the wrong move for Hamilton because the track was already drying. That mistake at the time put him at the end of the pack off the next circuit when everybody off the pit. The race went on and saw Esteban Ocon take his first victory in his career. Sebastian Vettel finished second, and Lewis Hamilton picked up third. But the drama wasn't over there. Even if the race was. Sebastian Vettel finished second, but there was not enough fuel left in his car for a post-race check that was called for by the race stewards. The team had their second place win pulled. The decision to appeal is still on the table, and they're looking at all the data and metrics to see if that would be profitable for them. However, the win has been given to Hamilton until the appeal can be decided. Formula One now heads into a summer break, so it gives the team a little bit of time to figure out what they're going to do. And I read the rules, and Ray Biggs and he had posted some stuff on there. Crazy friggin' rules. If they see you run out of gas, or they tell you to shut down or save gas or whatever, and you walk back, the stewards after the race is over can call to see, and you have to have a liter of fuel in your car after the race is over to be tested to make sure that your fuel compound is the fuel compound that's approved.
I see.
So it just one of those. Sense. Yeah, I get it, but I mean, I think like NASCAR, where you run and if you run out of gas, you literally. So, yeah. Speaking of NASCAR is in Watkins Glen this week. One of the last road courses left in the season, and one of the last races left in pretty much the overall regular season anyway. We'll have to talk to Kyle Stevens, who I believe he said he was going to be at the game, and hope everybody's out there has a good time, and hopefully Mother Nature doesn't screw that up too, because she screwed up a lot of things this summer. So jumping to the Olympics, we got a current medal count. United States has 91 medals, but 29 of them are gold. China has 74, but 34 of them are gold. And the Russian Olympic Committee, because Russia was banned, so now they have a separate, but they're also Russian Olympic Committee. It's weird how that all worked out. 58, but only 16 gold. Simone Biles dominated the headlines again over the week when it was announced that she would compete in the final event, which was the balance beam. She took bronze in the event, adding to her personal medal count. She had previously withdrawn, and we talked about that last week, and the team did very well in her absence, adding 3 gold and 2 gold, 1 silver, 1 bronze. Biles was there in support of her team for Jade Carey, Suni Lee, and Michaela Skinnard, and obviously she took the medal for herself. Cool story. Talked about how her aunt had also passed away unexpectedly, and everybody's like, I want to be famous. I don't even want an iota of the pressure that they have to deal with. It blows my mind. I'd buckle under what I have to deal with anyway. So
I deal with that every day.
Yeah. Well, that's because you're the famous one here, right? That's exactly. I'm the pretty face. He's the famous one. So it's okay.
All right.
There
face
we go.
check.
Wow,
here we go.
wow.
Face check.
Hey, the camera didn't break that time. We're doing good.
It didn't.
Yeah. The United States women's team last week beat the Netherlands 4-2 in penalty kicks. Their next game, they played Canada and they lost 1-0. Fast forward to the bronze medal match, which happened this morning against Australia. Team USA took the victory and got the bronze medal, and I believe the team is already on their way home. I was driving home earlier this morning, and so I had the game going on in my car. I will say they played what seems to be a pretty good match against Australia, but if they play the same way they played in this Olympics and the next World Cup, we're screwed. So they need a lot of changes. And I know, this is the swan song for some of them. Carly Lloyd not expected to come back. Questions whether Alex Morgan and Megan Rapinoe are going to be there because, they're 30. So for an athlete, you might as well go into the nursing home kind of thing. Alex Morgan just had a kid. So, she talking about the mom life and everything like that. And some of the younger players, Rose LaValle, she'll obviously be there, but it's going to be they really need to retool the team. They've got the defense, but they don't have the offense. And when the defense starts breaking down and they're running, it shuts down, and they need some changes.
I'm still on the idea that you were driving home this morning.
Yeah.
And so was that after the bars all night?
No, absolutely. Okay, right. Yeah. I don't drink, but I was at the bars all night. No, I had to go. I left my. I had to go back because I left my wallet out at Syracuse yesterday for a hearing. So I went out and picked that back up because I got the call, and I was going to watch the game, and I saw that I had a missing phone call. So I went out and got that. So fun, life. And I figured, I need it. And you're going to have to go get it. Why not do it now and listen to the game on the way? So United States men's soccer, while not in the Olympics, picked up a CONCACAF Gold Cup, beating Mexico this week. Great game. Nobody ever expected the men to be in the finals, let alone or pick up the win, let alone be in the finals, but they did. And Mexico and the United States in this region of the world are pretty good rivals when it's soccer. I've gone to a couple invites, and it gets pretty rowdy. We went to, Philadelphia. I think we went to the Eagles Stadium to watch a game one time. Maybe it was Red Bull Stadium. I forget which one it was. And it was Mexico versus the United States. It was crazy.
Wow.
Crazy. Like just absolutely insane.
Yeah. Soccer is crazy, just like I said.
Well, that's true. So over in summer basketball, Boeheim's Army picked up the win for the $1 million summer basketball championship over Team 23. Great last shot. Took a three-pointer, drilled it. Game over. Congrats to the whole team. I know it was on ESPN. A lot of Syracuse fans, myself included, watched some of that for this season. Definitely watched the championship games. So what you've been waiting for, the big news. So college football. It is college football season. That makes me happy. I like college football more than NFL and most of the other sports.
Right here, Longhorns.
Yeah. So big news in the Big Ten, and seeing the future flash before its eyes. Oklahoma and Texas have formally asked to join the SEC. The Big Ten fired back because somehow it was ESPN's fault, and so they fired a cease and desist, saying that the company was interfering with operations and trying to destabilize the conference. The funny part about that is they're the one that subsidized the conference and put it on TV. So you're literally biting the hand that feeds you. Not a good model to do in anything that you do ever, but okay. That made most people in and around sports laugh, myself included. This drama will continue to unfold this season, I'm sure. Big money in the TV contracts, and we'll see how rich they want to be. The thing I can't understand is, and I said this to you in pre-show, is Oklahoma and Texas are powerhouses in the conference they're currently in. Oklahoma's been in the Final Four a handful of times. Texas Longhorns have the Longhorn Network, and they rake in the cash from that. They're not as relevant as Oklahoma in terms of rankings, but they've definitely had bowl wins, good season, and they're one of the historic programs. So if they jump into the SEC, I'm going to say that they're probably going to sink pretty quickly because you've got powers that are already there and established in the conference, like Alabama, Auburn, Florida State, and newly to the mix, Texas A&M. They're going to be dwarfed out pretty quick. Many players and fans are reacting to the news who aren't over the moon about it, saying that not being in the SEC is a draw for many of them, and some of the shine for the players they otherwise aren't going to get in that school being in the SEC is the reason they went to another conference and playing in that area of the country. So it's going to be interesting to see how it all shakes down over the next coming years. However, if Oklahoma or Texas want to leave, there's a huge price tag leaving early. They're saying it's as high as like $1 billion with the contract stuff unless they grind it out till 2025.
Right. Well, I know one thing. There's no such thing as college football without Aggies and Longhorns playing together.
Right.
So we've been missing that.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Auburn and Alabama is one thing, but that's for the casual observer. I'm sure if you put them and they play, it's going to be
Yep.
It's going to be what's going to win the money. Are they going to go with the super conference? Is the NCAA going to get dwarfed out? Now we're talking about paying players. How's that going to work? This whole thing couldn't have happened at a worse time in some regard and better time in another. So
yep. It's all about the money. Don't worry about it.
Well, that is king.
Yep.
Yeah. So we're going to end this week with some shocking news out of Syracuse University. It was reported by us here that there was a mass exodus of the women's basketball program back in the wintertime when our show was still relatively new. At that time, all was quiet and nothing really seemed to point to a true reason. Players were saying that they were just leaving, that there was a difference in culture that needed to be happening there, and they didn't like the culture that was at Syracuse, and the everything is fine routine was rolled out from there by Syracuse administration. Well, the other shoe didn't just drop for Governor Cuomo this week. It came out that Coach Quentin Hillsman has resigned the head coaching post for the Syracuse women, and that was according to the Cuse athletic director, John Wildback. There is also a current independent firm doing a review of possible inappropriate behavior by Hillsman. Reported by CNY Central that, and I'm quoting here, complaints allege Hillsman would frequently use inappropriate language, regularly threaten players, make players uncomfortable by kissing them on the forehead, hired an assistant who has been accused of sexual harassment that made both players and managers uncomfortable, and refused to give players water breaks after periods of running. It also went on to claim that 2 people witnessed Coach Hillsman put his arm around players from behind and place his hand, quote, near the player's pelvic region, end quote. To date, 11 players from last year's women's basketball team are already in the transfer portal, and there has been as many as 20 who have transferred and left the program since 2018. Wildback has said the interim for the team will be announced soon. Crazy. And where there was smoke, there was fire, but I'll say, talking with people that I know at Syracuse, some of the people that are on their student government that I still have, some connections to, nothing. Quiet, buried, like literally buried the lead. Wow. And then this all blew up this past week. So, you're a coach, you got to hold yourself to a higher standard and, understand where you are and the time that you're in. And I guess don't be a pile of crap.
Well, now you can't even touch anybody for any reason.
Right. But to have 20 players in the last 2 years leave.
Yeah. Well, that shows there was something more.
Yeah.
But I'm saying that, when you listen to it on the surface, kissing somebody's forehead or putting your hand on their back is okay. Going down too far is a problem. But but now it's going to be anything.
Yeah. And, Syracuse hired, it's going to be interesting to see what that report is going to show. But obviously he's not going to be helming that sports team anymore. He's done, and the AD will be naming an interim here in the next couple of weeks, and they're the preseason for them. Students are reporting back in the next couple of weeks.
Yeah,
crazy.
Yep. Not
just in Albany. Nope. So, coaches and staff, please remember to include us in your sports reporting, especially as we start to get into the fall sports cycles. And you can email us at sportsbeat@mylittlefalls.com. For updates and highlights throughout the week, find us on Facebook at Sportsbeat with Rob Drumm. For all your local news, sports, and our podcast home, find us at mylittlefalls.com. For Rob Drumm here with Dave Warner, we'll talk to you next week.